We are live. Go live. Hey guys, it's Friday, and I normally do a bit of a Friday afternoon live, don't I? Although I don't know that I've done one for the last couple of weeks, and I'm being super brave this morning because I seem to be kind of streaming everywhere. I think I'm having quite an ADHD day today. But I feel really compelled to share a few things with you in kind of like a podcast slash vlog slash keeping it real. And the topic of this live really is all about keeping on top of dyslexia and the fact that dyslexia doesn't ever really go away. Like even when we are adults and when we are parents, dyslexia, it's never going anywhere. And I wanted to share with you something that happened this morning. So this is going to be quite an honest live, I guess, about how dyslexia and ADHD kind of really shows up for me. So I got up at 6 o'clock this morning because the hours of between 6 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning, they are my best hours. They are the hours that, I'm not joking, I can literally do a third of my to-do list in that time. If I'm on fire, not physically on fire actually, but if I'm on form. And this morning, as you know, if you follow me, my children are grown up. And this morning I got up with a really clear vision, a really clear list of exactly what I wanted to do before 9 o'clock, because I had back-to-back meetings between the hours of 9 and 1. And I really wanted to finish work today at 1 o'clock. Well, as you can see here now, I have not finished work. I have not finished work at 1 o'clock. It is 28 minutes past 1, and I'm only halfway through my to-do list. And let me explain to you why that is. It's because this morning we had in our house what is affectionately known as a Rees Hat trick. So this means when all three of my dyslexic ADHD children have a dyslexic ADHD moment, it impacts them literally one after the other. And that happened this morning. So I got up super early. I had a report to listen to that I needed to get out. I had some emails that I really needed to respond to. I had the podcast to record. I had this live on my list that I really wanted to do because I haven't done a live stream all week. And I had something else on my list as well. And I can't remember what it was without looking at it. It'll be working memory for you. And I was like, this is all doable before 9 o'clock. And then I can do my back-to-back meetings and have like a lovely weekend away from the desk. Anyway, that didn't happen because I'm halfway through listening to a report and my son has appeared and he needs help reading medication. He's taking some medication at the moment. He wanted to double check that he was taking it right. He wanted to check that he'd understood. He also wanted to give me a rundown of his day and his travel and what he was up to. And he also decided that was the time he was going to talk to me about a course he's looking into doing and what did I think and all of that jazz. So by the time I'd finished talking with him, the middle one had appeared. Well, no, actually not the middle one. Child 3 had appeared. And I was like, right, there's no way I'm going to be able to concentrate and finish listening to this report because I do need to sort of be available for her. So I'll do emails. I'll reprioritize and I'll do emails because emails are easy to get my head around. I can do one, I can stop that halfway through, do the next one, juggle both things. Anyway, the juggling of both things didn't happen because actually she needed help formulating an email to a teacher. So I had to stop and help her do that. And then we couldn't find her school shoes. So they should have been in the car because she went to a rehearsal last night. Things are pretty crazy in our house at the moment. And we went out to the car to get the shoes and they weren't there. Still haven't found them. She ended up 20 minutes later, she's ended up going to school in her sister's school shoes. So I was like, right, okay, what time are we now? Somehow we are now 8 o'clock. How have we got to 8 o'clock? How have 2 hours gone past and have I started all these things on my to-do list and not got anywhere? So I was like, actually, do you know what? I'm going to record the podcast first of all, because the podcast feels like the most important thing to record. So I go into the front room, start recording the podcast, literally get halfway through the podcast, really happy with it, sounding really good. And child 2 appears requiring festival hairstyling support, fashion advice, and a little bit of ad hoc coaching and support. So I was like, there is no way I can record this podcast now. So I ended up sorting her out. By the time she left at 9 minutes to 9, my brain was fried. I had 9 minutes left to do all of the things on my list that I'd got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to start. And I literally hadn't got anywhere. Couldn't do anything about it because I had a meeting at 9 o'clock. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I realized how far I've come. So, as I said right at the beginning of this live, I know that my really good hours are between the hours of 6 in the morning and 9 in the morning. And I hadn't realized that this was a strategy. This was something I was using intuitively before my diagnosis, before I had children, in order to help me manage life, in order to keep on top of work, on top of life. If I don't use those hours in the day, I massively, massively struggle. So suddenly children come along and you're not in control of how you use your time. And it wasn't until I got my diagnosis that A, I realized that was a strategy. B, I also realized that because I couldn't use that time, because obviously children wake up early and they need you in that time and you've got school runs and things. At life admin, things that I knew that I would normally do first thing in the morning were like slowly but surely building up and were impacting my mental health, were impacting my self-esteem, were impacting how I was feeling like I could keep on top of life. So my diagnosis was game-changing because it helped me realize what my strategies were, which strategies I could no longer use as a parent, and how I needed to negotiate or find ways around this to kind of manage dyslexia, if you like, kind of like differently. And I think what's interesting is, as I've said, like my children, they're way independent now. I mean, they're 15, 18 and 20, so they shouldn't really need me in the morning anymore. But this morning, what that reminded me of, that Rees Hat trick, was it reminded me of what it used to be like when I didn't have my diagnosis of dyslexia, when life felt like it was spiraling out of control because I couldn't keep on top of it. And when I couldn't use that strategy or that time that I know works really, really well for me. And that got me thinking about something else, about how undiagnosed dyslexia, undiagnosed and unmanaged dyslexia, and those negative experiences shape our belief systems going forward. Now, this is relevant because I visited Moonhall School yesterday in Reigate, Surrey, which is an incredible school, dyslexic school. If you don't know it, go and look at their website, go and have a look. It's absolutely amazing. And it's only in Reigate. I live on the Isle of Wight. It's like a train ride away. And I was invited by the head teacher to go and have a look back in September. I met her at the test show and she was like, please do come and have a look at us. It will be great for you to come and have a look and talk about it on social media, etc., etc. And for whatever reason, I hadn't got round to booking it in. And the reason why I hadn't got round to booking it in are partly because of the travel. So before my diagnosis of dyslexia, and when I wasn't, Moonhall is incredible. And when I wasn't managing dyslexia well, travel for me was really, really stressful. And I've talked a lot about this on podcasts. I've talked about it on TikTok videos. I talk a lot about it. I'm very open about the fact that travel for me is quite stressful. And that is because my belief system has been shaped negatively from when I was managing or not managing dyslexia and ADHD well. The other reason why it's really tricky is because of logistics. So as a parent, you know, yes, it sounds really simple to pop to the mainland and look somewhere, but actually when you've got children, and regardless of how old they are, it's out of routine to do something like that. And there's additional logistics to sort out. So, you know, the additional logistics of sorting out the children, how will they get to school, like how will they get to the next place, all of that jazz. So I think quite often I put things like that off because it's a bit more strain on working memory. So when things are out of routine or they're a little bit different, it's not that I don't like routine. I'm not scared of change. In fact, I love change. In fact, you know, as an ADHD person, change, doing things, you know, we love routine, but we hate routine all at the same time. Change actually often inspires us and is really needed. But that change involves a lot of planning, cognitive load, and strain on working memory. So Moon Hall was on my I can do difficult things list. And again, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I have a I can do difficult things list on my wall of things that I procrastinate or avoid over that I eventually get to. And Moon Hall had been on that list for about 4 months. So back in April, I planned and made contact with the school and arranged to go and look at Moon Hall on the 19th of June. When I booked it in, I didn't realise until last week that I booked it on the first day of the Isle of Wight Festival. So lots of festivals, the Isle of Wight Festival this weekend, and lots of festival goers arrive on the Thursday before. So about a week ago, I realised that, and that kind of scuppered my plan, because another one of my kind of dyslexic traits, if you like, things that I don't mind sharing with you, is that I find traveling on trains to be really stressful. So I was like, actually, I'm saying I'm going to go by train, but I'm going to drive, because actually that way I only need to book one ferry. So it's only one time to get my head around. I'm in the car. I can allow as much time as needed. Like, I'm in control of how early I go. Anyway, realised last week it was the Isle of Wight Festival, too late to book a ferry. So I was going to have to go by train. So because I was going to have to go by train, I kind of procrastinated over it all week and didn't actually get round to booking my travel until Wednesday, the day before. So there was nobody here to double check it. So lots of people with dyslexia and ADHD, without even realizing it, lots of neurodivergent people, their strategy is when it comes to booking travel, they won't book it on their own. They'll get somebody else to do it for them. They'll get somebody to double check it. I didn't have anybody here to double check it. I had to trust myself. So I booked my ferry ticket, and you can travel with the passenger ferry. You can travel on literally anytime ferry within reason. I knew it would be busy because of the festival. And with trains, I've learned that you never get a super cheap exact train time ticket. You get a flexible ticket in case there are any errors. So I booked my ticket, didn't think about it. The only bit I had left to get my head around was how I was going to get from the train station to Moon Hall. And I was like, totally fine. I know that my train is going to get me there in plenty of time. I will walk. I love to walk. Worst case scenario, I'll jump in a taxi. So yesterday morning, get up, all goes smoothly, beautifully to plan, drop daughter to school, get on the 8:45 fast cat. Think, oh, I know, I've screenshot everything to within an inch of its life, because that's my strategy. So I start to share some of this stuff on social media in my stories. Very quickly realise I have actually booked myself on the wrong train. So I've booked myself on the 8:15 train from Portsmouth Harbour. Well, I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to get that train, because my boat didn't leave until 8:45, but we're all good. Flexible ticket. Trains go they're really regular. I know I've got to get to Guildford, and then I know I've got to get from Guildford to Reigate. I know that's the route. I've got the stations in my head. Of course, the app is updating me, but it's updating me for my actual trains that I should be on, not the later ones. So that's confusing me a bit. But then I get on my train and discover that all of the trains are delayed. So I'm like, this is going to be a little bit additional train on working memory, because are we going by the actual train the time's going? Like, where are they going to be at what time, and what time train am I going to get from like Guildford to Moon Hall, and am I still going to get there in time? By this point, I've also looked to discover that you can't walk to Moon Hall. It's too far. You're going to have to get a taxi that's sort of 15 to 20 minutes away. So in my head, I'm thinking, that's fine. I blocked in plenty of time, because I would always plan loads of time, because that is my dyslexic strategy. I always get to places an hour early, allowing for things to go wrong. So I think I'll check and see what time I'm due to arrive. Rookie error. When I booked it in my diary, I hadn't put a specific time. I had just blocked out the whole day. So I was like, I wonder what time I'm even supposed to be arriving at the place. So I figure that's okay. All of my trains are delayed. So I will phone them and tell them that my trains are delayed, and I'll get there when I get there, thinking that I was going to get there about 12 o'clock. Anyway, basically, when I phone, it turns out that I wasn't supposed to be there until 12:30 anyway, so I'm not going to be late. So I can take that stress off my list. Anyway, so the travel goes fairly smoothly on the way there. It's all delayed. I arrive at Moon Hall. at 12:05, have the most incredible time. Didn't quite go to plan because the head teacher I was hoping to see, unfortunately, was unwell, but it was still really helpful, really beneficial. Had some insanely brilliant professional conversations with so many of the staff there. It was really great to see how a specialist dyslexic school runs. It was also really great to see that they use lots of the resources that I use. So, for example, rapid readers that I rave on about, that was in their junior school. So it was just a really brilliant, lovely 3 hours. So then they called me a taxi that never turned up. So the really lovely receptionist lady, and I don't know her name, I should have got her name, drove me to the train station, which was amazing. And yesterday was the hottest day ever. There was not a cloud in the sky. So all the trains are delayed because of signalling, because the lines are basically melting. So I get to the train station and all of the trains are delayed. There aren't really any times there. And there are announcements everywhere. And I suddenly realized again how overwhelming it is. I'm like right back to, so even though I know I've got my strategies in place, like I'm right back to that undiagnosed dyslexic me that is going to miss the train, that doesn't know where they're going, that is feeling like super anxious. I managed to get from Reigate to Guildford was fine because there's only 2 platforms and it's fairly clear which platform you need to be on for the direction you're going. When we get to Guildford, much busier station, people everywhere, more than 1 platform. And so you're getting announcements for lots of platforms. Loads of trains are delayed. So like, you get an announcement, this is the 1604 that's going to Portsmouth and Southsea that will actually be leaving at 1616 from platform 3. So how do you even know if you're like on the right platform? Anyway, I was getting more and more and more hot and bothered. And it was just, like I say, it was just reminding me of all of those times that travel had gone badly. But because I understand that now, I can rationalize it. So like in my head, I'm just saying to myself, this is okay. I'm totally safe. I've got this. I haven't got to be anywhere. There is no rush. Like it doesn't matter if my ticket is not valid because my ticket wasn't valid after 5 o'clock. And I'm thinking it doesn't matter if it's not valid after 5 o'clock on my flexible ticket off peak thingy because it's their fault, because it's been delayed. It's all good. Anyway, eventually a train turns up and I get on it. But before I got on it, I asked somebody, I double checked that I was on the right train, and I realized that actually I never get on a train. I'd done it with every train, even though I knew I was in the right place for the others. Automatically, I always double check. It's a strategy that I use. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, anyway, so I'm on the right train, and I'm heading down to Guildford, thinking I've done it. It's dead easy now. I'm like literally, I'm on the train at Guildford. I'm heading down to Portsmouth. Dead easy now. Like literally, I get off and I'll be on the boat, until I realised that the train that I'd got on only went to Portsmouth and Southsea. It didn't go down to Portsmouth Harbour, which again isn't the end of the world. However, even if the train had gone down to Portsmouth and Portsmouth Harbour, that only gave me 10 minutes to get my boat. So I'm going to have to be, when I get to Portsmouth and Southsea, I'm going to have to make a decision. Do I jump in a taxi? Well, A, where is the taxi rank? How do I find it? Will there be one available? Do I double book it? Do I book one ahead? Or B, do I hope that there is a train that can get me down to Portsmouth Harbour when everything is delayed? So anyway, I decided that I would go for the train, and basically got off at Portsmouth and Southsea and asked somebody straight away. I didn't try and work it out myself by reading the language, by looking at an app. I just asked somebody, and luckily managed to get on the train that got me on the boat that got me home. But what actually made me stop panicking and think, actually, stop spiraling out of control here, Jo Rees, this is ridiculous, is between Guildford and Portsmouth and Southsea, my youngest texts me. So my youngest is 15. So she goes off island 3 times a week at the moment to rehearse for a production. And Thursdays are pretty stressful for her. She goes to school all day, then she catches the fast cat, then she catches the Gosport ferry, then she catches a bus. She does a 3-hour rehearsal, and then she either catches a bus and does all of that in reverse, or she finds somebody at the rehearsal that can drive her back round to Portsmouth because they're going in that way and drop her at the ferry. She texts me to say, just to let you know, Mum, all of my travel is sorted tonight. I've downloaded the bus app. I've sorted this out, done this out, got a lift back. I'll be back on the island at such and such time. So I was like, Joanne Rees, you need to get a grip here. If your 15-year-old can do all of this and not be stressing, I can do all of this and not stress. And that just got me realising and made me realise that, combined with my visit at Moon Hall, where the overwhelming kind of sense there is that what Moon Hall is able to do is, because it is full of students that are all the same, it gives them this positive school experience whereby they don't necessarily have those negative experiences that shape their belief system. And talking to staff there, it became apparent that the earlier they get the children, the less negative experiences there are to unpack and unpick, the more likely it is that they will be positive, and not that they're not positive if they have to unpick them, but the easier their job is, because dyslexia impacts people less the earlier we identify it and support it. And that made me realise that actually the empowerment programme that I've written for children, so if you haven't seen it already, please do go and find it on my website, on my bio. It's called the Young Person's Empowerment Programme. And what that empowerment programme aims to do is it aims to provide positive experiences from a really early age so that they don't have those negative experiences to shape their belief system. So it aims to develop key life skills, resilience, independence, confidence, being you, using your voice. It aims to develop all of those skills through a series of practical, everyday tasks. It enables them to do the task, develop the key skills, but it also enables them to be really reflective. So it uses an approach called a metacognition. So metacognition is thinking about thinking. And the empowerment tool that is part of that program, it's a framework that enables them to be really reflective and work out what went well, what didn't go well, where are their strengths, where could they use those strengths in everyday life. So for example, for me, one of my strengths is asking questions. So I know that if I don't understand something, I need to ask somebody a question. My son knows that. My youngest knows that. I could tell you a story about her and her science teacher, but I'm not going to, because it might hit a bit too close for home. But, she is not scared to advocate for herself and ask questions, because she knows that that is a strength and that helps her. But if you don't realise that is a strength, and actually you've been shouted down by that, or you felt stupid, or a teacher has made you feel small from a really early age, and you don't realise that that is a strategy, that is going to shape your belief system and how you feel about yourself. So actually, the quicker we can get in and find our strengths, the quicker we know what strategies we're using, the quicker we are able to shape our belief system so that we have positive experiences, the better. And that is my Young Person's Empowerment Programme. Like, it is the exact framework, the exact approaches that I have used with my own children to enable them to feel empowered from a really young age. So if you haven't already, please do go and check it out, because I'm telling you, it's game changing. At the moment, it's £100, but it will be going up very early July to 150. And it's the perfect tool for kind of this time of year. It's designed for young people between the ages of 8 to 18. As I say, it develops those key skills and it gets them feeling really empowered and knowing what dyslexia looks like for them, and completely going full circle back to the start of this live. I talked about, how I didn't realise that one of my strategies was getting as much done as I possibly could between the hours of 6 to 9 in the morning. And when I couldn't use that strategy, it all went a bit wrong for me. So actually knowing how we learn what works for us as individuals is really, really important. And that's how we experience dyslexic success. So that was me chatting for 24 minutes and 22 seconds. That was a much longer live than planned, but I felt like it was a really important one to share with you. Because it's all about undiagnosed dyslexia. And there is a lot, because of the Jamie Oliver programme, there's a lot of buzz about it online at the moment. But I feel really strongly that actually the education system is the place where it's all going wrong. because it's the place where dyslexic kids' belief systems are being shaped that they're not clever, that they can't use their strategies, they don't know what their strengths are. And undiagnosed and unmanaged dyslexia has such a huge impact on mental health and emotional well-being. And I just want to really quickly end this live by saying I'm actually writing a new book at the moment. Having self-published 2 already, I've decided to go for a 3rd. I'm hopefully going to have a publisher this time. But at the moment, I'm doing this is for the first time. I'm trying to do a bit of I'm researching, and I want to make sure that I've really got a reflection of the views of what dyslexia really looks like in education. So if you haven't already, if you pop across to my social media, if I'm on Dyslexic Life at Jo Rees on all social media platforms, I've got a survey that's live at the moment, collecting people's views on dyslexia in education that is going to form a bit of the book. But I'm also interviewing in depth 5 dyslexic people, 5 dyslexic parents, 5 teachers that aren't necessarily dyslexic, 5 teachers picked at random, 5 Senkos and 5 specialist assessors. And the themes that are coming out of those books, I don't want to share them at the moment. Sorry, the themes that are coming out of those interviews are so interesting. And early identification and proper support and management of dyslexia, not just in education, but in terms of knowing how it shows up in everyday life, is huge. The impact on how somebody feels about themselves in terms of their identity, their personality, in terms of how they're able to use their strengths and how they're able to advocate for themselves is huge. So I feel like this book it needs to be written. And if anybody's interested, I'm actually vlogging it separately just on YouTube. I'm not doing it on any other platform. It was a very long video the other day, but I was actually writing my proposal. And I don't really care if nobody watches it. I'm kind of doing it for my own benefit, to make myself accountable, but also I want to kind of vlog my journey and how far I've come, because it is difficult. It is difficult being a dyslexic, and you're constantly having to work on it. You're constantly having to develop strategies and work with it and be reflective. So I think it will be really interesting for me to vlog this journey and how I feel about the book, particularly as an ADHD person as well, because, you know, you have the ideas and you're really excited to begin with, but it's not always going to be like that. So yeah, I'm trying to chip away at the book every single day. So if you haven't already and you would like to take part in that survey, it's going to be live until the end of June. As I say, you will find it on all of my social media platforms. And if you can't, just drop me a message and that would be great. Okay, right. I think that's it. I'm going to log off. Next thing ticked off my list. A few more emails, I think, to send. And then hopefully I'll be finished by 3. And we've made up those 2 hours that I lost this morning. But have a really great weekend. If you do watch this live, please feel free to like it, comment underneath it. I really appreciate your time. And I hope that it's landed with just one person, because if it lands with just one person, it's worth it. Have a super great weekend, and I'll see you soon.